Get a cup, get a cup, get a cup. Hello, hello. Welcome back, everyone, to another video of Fresh Cuts Limit. Today, we're looking at online censorship situation is pathetic by Bladed Angel. Now, this is a new YouTube channel that I've not reacted to before, and this video caught my attention, so I really wanted to react to it. But with that being said, the original link's in the description. Go subscribe to Bladed Angel. Without any further ado, let's begin.
Online censorship is getting out of control. Never have I been more embarrassed at the free world as I watch their politicians take away our liberty with the most crooked smile on their face. Also, it's rich hearing them say, do it for the kids.
Yeah, you got exactly. You got listening to the children, the children. Think of the databases that you're building on people. That's the most important thing.
The government is the last group of people I want to hear that from. Lately, they'll do anything but protect the kids. So if you don't know, the Online Safety Act, which requires your ID to...
Think of the children. Think of the children. But the Epstein files. Screw the kids. We're keeping those files secret.
Just browse the internet has been passed in the United Kingdom, and what's scary is that it's coming for the United States next. Remember, this country is founded on liberty. We are proud of its freedom, yet here we are with our lawmakers also thinking of enacting these dystopian laws in the form of the Kids Online Safety Act. Don't let lawmakers fool you. It's not just protecting kids from adult content. As the United...
No, 100% it's not. 100% it's not, and it won't even be just America where it's headed. It's gonna be like a global thing, where everyone has to have their digital ID in order to like go on to certain sites, probably any social media sites. And like we can't act now as if online anonymity is really a thing, because like for the most part, if you are on Twitter or X and you say some crazy stuff regarding the president, you're gonna have the FBI at your door, because like you can't go making threats to the president or anything like that. So online anonymity is not really that big, or it's more of an illusion right now over anything, because you really can't say anything you want to say. But all of a sudden, having every single social media site know who you are and what you're doing and where you are, I think is real negative.
The United Kingdom already makes people go through the system just to access Spotify, Discord, YouTube, and even Wikipedia.
Spotify's the craziest thing. Like, what, you don't want kids hearing swear words in songs? Like, that's so stupid.
And I know that there will always be that government bootlicker who's gonna have a brain-dead take of, if you've never done anything wrong, then what are all you guys scared of? Just give them your ID.
It's a dumb take, because as soon as they change the law, then all of a sudden you might be affected. There's a saying of like, I forget the saying, so I'm gonna butcher this, but it's something along the lines of... I actually totally forget it. I totally forget it. Never mind, there is no saying. If you never did anything wrong, then you don't have anything to worry about. Well, let's say a different government gets in control, you know, a different political party, and then all of a sudden they deem things which were once okay, they deem that not okay. Now, you're in trouble for something that you might have done in the past.
That's not how this is gonna work, buddy. The United Kingdom especially has already shown that they will use this system to arrest someone over political things that they don't agree with. It's a Trojan horse disguised as an anti-adult content movement that's aimed at protecting the kids.
Every single time the government tries to get more power, it's gonna be out of taking advantage of fear that people have. It's always gonna be in the disguise of something positive, but really it's not. Yeah, like this is, think of the children, we don't want them watching adult videos. But really, they're not thinking of the children, they don't really care. It's more about getting more control and more, you know, being able to see what everyone's saying and see what everyone's doing. But it's always in the disguise of something positive. Because if they straight up said what their true intentions were, no one's going to agree to it. But if you can fool half the population into thinking, oh, it's for, you know, children's safety or whatever, then yeah, they're going to have more of a, they're going to be more willing to give up their freedoms for that.
But in actuality, the government wants to monitor you and establish a social credit score. I feel anyone saying these laws aren't a big deal are people who've never realized how much they take for granted the freedom they have in their country, or have never had family who struggled with freedom because they come from countries where governments are significantly more oppressive and spy on literally everything they do and can literally imprison them, or even imprison their family and send their family to prison camps over something they say online.
Yeah, that stuff happens. Like in the UK, you can get charged for saying stuff online that the government doesn't like. I think in China they do that. You really have to be on good behavior. You got to get your brownie points, you know, to be in the good eyes of the government.
First off, I've always wanted to dunk on helicopter parents and their garbage parenting style, so now's a good time to finally do so. They seem to have this unhealthy obsession of
I mean, for the most part, the government already does spy on everyone, but it'll just be so much easier.
monitoring and controlling their kids as much as possible and want to censor them from the world so that they'll never lose their innocence. Think of like Ned Flanders from like The Simpsons. Here's the reality though. The government shouldn't be responsible for stepping in to make up for the shortcomings of these bad parents.
They shouldn't, but the parents aren't doing it. And I feel like that's been the case for a long time. I know I've talked about this before, but I feel like they're just not taking responsibility. And the parents want, and they always blame social media sites for not doing it.
I'm so sick and tired of these parents who think it's the internet's responsibility to raise their kids and protect their kids' innocence. Your kid has to learn about the world someday. Protecting their innocence will never last forever because by definition, your kid is not going to be a kid forever. That's literally how time works. Therefore, if you don't teach them about the cruelty of society, then society itself will teach them instead. And
I think just a lot of parents don't want to have that conversation. You know, a lot of parents don't want to teach their kids about, say, the birds and the bees. You know what I'm saying? You know, the old hoinky doinky, the old two-step. So they rather it be the government. They rather be a school, a public school that teaches them instead of themselves because they don't want to deal with it because it's kind of awkward. Maybe they've gotten used to that kind of stuff and they're just kind of expecting that to be for everything.
society is not nearly as patient or kind at teaching that subject, which is why parents shouldn't be trying to shoulder the burden onto society to deal with their kids' corn addiction or constant swiping of mom's credit card or constantly throwing bits at their local e-girls on Twitch or heck even just wailing on gacha games.
$20,000 of debt due to Genshin Impact addiction? Oh my gosh. For that price, you could have gone to art school and learned how to draw them yourself.
Games because they're parasocially attached to a PNG. A responsibility of a parent is to raise and take care of their kid. That is not the internet's responsibility and especially not the government's. However, since the government is exploiting these helicopter Karens' insecurity of not being able to raise their own kid, the government's now taking this opportunity to collectively ruin all of our lives now by preying on the weakness of those Karens. These are the same adults who struggle to close apps on their smartphones because of how technologically illiterate they are. They have no internet literacy. They're extremely inadequate. These are the worst group of people to let vote for the system, yet they're the very first group of people to vote for this system because of how horrendous they understand the internet and technology in general and how poor their parenting behavior is. It's ironic considering some of them talk all the time about freedom and value themselves as patriots, which is why I want them to listen closely and know that the government is going to abuse this new system for bad faith takedowns.
100%. Everywhere that this kind of control is had, those places do abuse it. Anything that they deem is inappropriate, they get in trouble. And to think that it won't happen because your government is not in that, not the same country, that's foolish. How do I say this? Anytime there's an availability to take more power, there is going to be taken. Like anytime there's some kind of crisis, it will be used as an opportunity to take more power. You look back 20, 30 years, and there's a lot less, I would say, freedom for what you can do and say nowadays than 20, 30 years ago.
Regarding satire, journalism, or political criticism in a lot of these censorship laws. The United Kingdom specifically even says that it will purposely take things if it thinks it's like too politically extreme, but what does that mean, right? At what point are you just using it to silence the other side? In other words, these laws can easily and quickly be abused by the very government that is meant to protect us. Instead, they can use it to silence us.
I think now, as it stands, I said you can't really say what you want to say online if you say things to an extreme, if you take things to an extreme, you can't say you're going to do something to the, the president of the United States. You can't say that you're going to do something, I don't even want to say it. But if you were to say something that you're going to do something, you're going to have the FBI at your door. You have the freedom of expression and whatnot, but it's not total freedom. As I said, whenever there's an availability or an option to take more power, whoever's in charge is going to take it.
The United Kingdom has already shown that it loves to arrest people for stuff they say online.
300 people have been charged for fake news and threatening. Like, if you're sending threats to people, this, I would say, is more or less unacceptable. Like, the fake news, it's hard to tell what's real and what's fake nowadays because there's so much fake stuff being spread around. So, like, I could understand someone sending it or posting it unintentionally because they just don't know better.
Look, we've all been edgy, angsty, or rebellious teenagers before, and some of you watching might still be in that phase or have yet to enter that phase, but trust me, you'll get there and it's okay when you get there. People shouldn't be at risk of being arrested for being an angsty youth who said something really stupid online. It is the worst use of tax dollars and prison infrastructure to lock these teens and college-age students over online speech, because that's what this is going to end up being used for in the near future when it passes. They were accused of false communications, fake news, and so on. And again, ignoring the fact that some of these people will just genuinely always fall for conspiracies and fake news, let's remember that it's not worth sending them to jail over. That you could also be jailing the wrong person, because there is absolutely a chance that you, me, or several other people who are just going to partake in satire. Like, there are a lot of people who understand the ridiculous nature of some fake news and are fully self-aware that it's completely fake, but just want to pretend to fall for it and start crap posting about it on all corners of the internet. It's just satire, right?
Well, you're reading something in text, unless the text is specifically, showing that it's satire with like an LOL or a laughing, crying emoji or something like that. If it's just a wall of text, then it's kind of hard to tell if it's satire or not. That's up to whoever's reading it to interpret it, right? But I don't really think anyone should be arrested for that. It's weird how all throughout history, the good guys have always won. All throughout history, the good guys have always won. Why is that? Is it because they have won, or because whoever wins thinks they're the good guy? I hope that makes sense. I feel like that's a little bit vague.
Right? So imagine making like jokes, memes, or satires about something that's obviously so fake news coded just to make your friends laugh in a group chat or Discord server, but the government comes knocking on your door a few days later and boom, busts out the chat logs, now you're in the handcuffs.
Yeah, I think if I were living in the UK, I would be looking to move because I think they're worse off than a lot of other places in terms of what, freedoms you have.
To just screw everyone over. Like, this is going to literally affect everyone in a negative manner. It does not matter where you fall politically, or even if you have no political values at all, this is gonna affect your life. Speaking of the kids, how about the Jeffrey situation, huh? Yeah, now the government decides it cares about kids all of a sudden. Yeah, all of a sudden at the end of the July, you guys care about kids, when throughout the entirety of that month, where were you a few weeks ago regarding those papers, huh? They do not care about kids. They've clearly shown they don't care about protecting the kids.
I would definitely agree with that. You have the most powerful people in the world in charge, and they run on the premise that they were going to release the Epstein files. Then they say there are no files, or then they say they have them on their desk, and then they say they have no files, and then they say that literally like a week or two ago, they say we're going to release the files. Now, I'm not the smartest individual, but I'm not that stupid. You want to say that you care about kids and that we need to hunker down. We need to friggin' make sure you're using digital ID to make sure you're not doing anything bad to protect the kids, but we're not going to release the Epstein files. No, that's a step too far. We got to protect the mighty rich people. Like, it's such hypocrisy.
What's the big deal, eh? Here's the part of the video where I'm gonna debunk the most common counter-argument from bootlickers and undercover government agents. Here's a lukewarm take that I keep hearing repeated in the past few weeks. Why is everyone so okay with giving an ID to drink alcohol, but all of a sudden it's not okay with this? It's just an ID, guys. Just an ID. Okay. Alcohol is a physical, consumable item that can lead to horrible decisions like drunk driving and can actually negatively affect other people's lives. Want to know how many people die if someone makes edgy remarks on the internet? Basically none. So let's not pretend these are the same caliber, not even remotely close.
Yeah, exactly. The thing that they don't like. If enough people share the same belief and opinion, then it threatens whoever's in control's control.
Also, what about the ID system for Spotify? What is their excuse for that?
Yeah, that's just so stupid. That is so stupid. Why do I need... So you're telling me I need to freaking give an ID to listen to WAP?
There's no universe where you can compare listening to music on Spotify as the same as going out to a nightclub with adults grinding on each other with alcohol everywhere. They aren't going to stop at our ID either, by the way. This isn't just our ID. Several lawmakers are also pushing for biometric data like face and fingerprints over the internet.
It's so insane. It's as I said, they're just gonna keep grasping for power. They're just gonna keep taking and keep taking and keep taking because people just aren't gonna do anything. The average citizen, they're too busy, being distracted by whatever's on TV. They're focused on their own crap, and most people aren't gonna do anything about it.
Like I said, this isn't alcohol, this isn't firearms, this is the internet. Like, they're gonna track our face when browsing the internet to see if we can use certain websites. That is a huge privacy violation, and I guarantee this part was included because big corporations love doing this. Like, they love stealing our data and giving us targeted ads based on our browsing behavior.
Yeah, who wants to bet whoever's trying to push those rules are being lobbied by corporations? Check where the money's going. Always check where the money's going, and you can see people's true intention.
So the last thing I want those jerks to have is our face and fingerprints too. Also, data leaks happen all the time. I don't trust them with that.
Definitely not that either. I definitely don't agree with the whole idea of like a freaking online ID. But if it has to happen, it's got to be through some third-party service that sends out a token to all these other sites. I've said this before in other videos because there are hacks all the time. Discord literally got hacked after the UK government now requires people to send IDs. So Discord, which had all these people's IDs, got hacked and all their IDs got leaked. What the frig, what is the average person supposed to do? Sue Discord? Sue the UK government because of that? You're worried about the safety of kids, but not the safety of actual citizens. Isn't that kind of ironic? Anyway, I hope you guys like this video. I'm gonna end it here. I don't see this situation getting any better. It's probably good to talk about it, at least, so other people have an idea what's going on, but I'd say the average person does not know about this or care or will do anything. The average person is going to sell their freedoms for the illusion of safety. They will. 100% they will. Not that I want that to happen. I'm just saying that is what's going to happen. The average person will sell their privacy to keep an illusion of safety. It's been going on for the last 30 so years. Like after 9/11, things kind of went down. There's a lot more grasping of power. And has it really stopped anything? No. And yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. Hope you guys like this. Make sure you go subscribe to Belated Angel. I like this a lot. Maybe I'll do some more Belated Angel reactions in the future. And if you're new, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.